Welcome back to our service. This week, we're going to learn about the amazing life of Duane Allman, the talented guitarist in the Allman Brothers Band. There is no denying Duane Allman's musical brilliance. He helped make the Southern rock sound what it is today. Even though he was only here for a short time, Duane's music and impact continue to inspire many musicians and fans. From being poor to becoming a rock star, his path was full of both successes and failures. One of the hardest things he had to deal with was the pressures of fame. How did Duane Allman deal with problems? But how did he get past them to leave a lasting mark on the history of music? Join us as we talk about how the band got started, how they became famous, and Duane Allman's lasting impact on the world. In this movie, everything is shown. Allow us to follow along. His parents, Willis and Geraldine Allman, gave birth to him on November 20th, 1946, in Nashville, Tennessee. Greg Allman, his younger brother, was born the next year and grew up with him. Willis Allman, their father, was a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army and had been a non-commissioned officer in the Army during World War II. On December 26, 1949, a crazy stranger killed Willis Allman near Norfolk, Virginia, where his family was stationed at the time. This terrible loss had a huge effect on the Allman family. After Willis died, Geraldine attempted to start over with her two young boys. She chose to rebuild their lives by moving to Daytona Beach, Florida, in 1958. The big change in Duane and Greg's lives happened when they moved to Florida. Geraldine started a new job as an accountant in Daytona Beach. She worked very hard to support her family. Even though they didn't like Castle Heights Military Academy in Lebanon, Tennessee, where they were sent at first, the family kept trying to find security and a fresh start in Florida. Greg and Duane went to Seabreeze High School after moving to Daytona Beach. During these important years, they became more and more interested in music. For Christmas, Greg got a guitar, getting him interested in music, while Duane was more interested in motorcycles at first. Duane quickly became interested in music, especially after seeing the famous blues artist B.B. King play King in a show. Duane was so inspired by this event that he traded the broken parts of his motorbike for his own Silvertone guitar. The Allman Brothers' musical journey was greatly affected by their move to Florida and the death of their father. Greg Allman, Duane's younger brother, got him interested in music in the first place. The first person to get a guitar for Christmas was Greg, but Duane quickly became interested in the instrument as well. Even though Duane was left-handed, he learned to play a guitar with his right hand. This was an early sign of how flexible and talented he was. The guitar was a source of conflict for the boys, but it also brought them closer together and helped them form a strong musical bond. Starting in the early 1960s, Duane and Greg started playing music together in neighborhood bands. The Escorts were one of their first bands. Later, they changed their name to the Almond Joys. The brothers played at a number of local venues during these formative years, getting practice and improving their skills. They clearly loved music because they trained nonstop to get better at what they did. There were many kinds of music that the Allman Brothers liked. Going to a rhythm and blues show with the famous B.B. King was the turning point. You Are King. This event had a big effect on Duane. It made him love blues music even more and pushed him to improve his guitar skills even more. Duane quickly got better at playing the guitar, and he soon beat himself, becoming the better musician of the two. Greg finished from high school in 1965, and the Allman Joys went on a tour of the Southeast United States. This tour gave them useful performance practice and helped them get fans in their home area. As they became more well-known, they moved to Nashville, where they continued to grow professionally and musically. By early 1967, Duane and Greg's band had changed again. This time, they were called Hourglass. After moving to Los Angeles, the band made two records for Liberty Records. The first was called Hourglass, and the second was called Power of Love. But they were having trouble being creative because the record label wanted to make them into a pop band, which was not in line with their artistic vision. During this time of unhappiness, Hourglass finally broke up in early 1968. After Hourglass broke up, Duane Allman went back to Florida with a clear goal: to start a new band that would let him really share his musical ideas. He started holding jam sessions, which is how the players who would later form the Allman Brothers Band met each other. As lead guitarist, Duane Allman was one of the most important players. With his unique slide guitar playing, he set the band's musical direction. His younger brother Greg Allman sang soulfully and played the Hammond organ. His heartfelt words gave their music more depth. Dickie Betts' guitar style went well with Duane's. With his catchy solos and songs, like the famous In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. Barry Oakley's lively and complex bass playing gave the band a sound base, and his close friendship with Duane made them stronger as a whole. Both drummers, Butch Trucks and Jai Johani, and Jima Johansson, added a strong and complex rhythm section. Jima's jazz background gave the music a unique taste. Even though the members of the band were very skilled, they had a lot of problems in the beginning, like not having enough money and having to start over. The Big House was a house in Macon, Georgia, where they lived and trained together. Living close together helped them get closer, but it also brought to light their money problems. On March 26, 1969, at the Jacksonville Armory in Florida, they played their first public show as the Allman Brothers Band. It went well and showed off their unique style. However, the band kept running into problems. To build their image and improve their skills, they played nonstop at different venues for little pay. A run of free concerts in Macon's Central City Park helped them get known in the area and caught Phil Walden's attention, a music producer who would later manage them. They signed a deal with Capricorn Records, a new label that liked their style of Southern rock, thanks to Walden. At Atlantic Studios in New York City in August 1969, they started making their first album, The Allman Brothers Band. The record came out in November 1969 and didn't sell very well at first, but it got good reviews. Songs like Dreams and Whipping Post that they would play at all of their live shows. Because the band was always on tour and committed to live shows, they slowly built a group of loyal fans. Their lively stage appearance and long improvised jams made them stand out from other bands at the time and showed how well they were getting along and how good their music was. The Allman Brothers Band was made up of great artists who all had the same goal. The problems they faced at first only made them stronger and more united. Because they worked hard and loved music, they left a legacy that still affects many singers and changes rock music. The Allman Brothers Band became famous because of how great they were live. That their live record at Fillmore East was a huge hit. These two things solidified their place in rock music history and showed how talented and well-matched they were as a band. Right from the start, the Allman Brothers Band stood out for how well they played live. It wasn't just music at their shows, it was an experience. The band was known for long, improvised jams that showed off how good they were as players and how close the members were to each other. Every member brought something different to the stage, and when they all worked together, they made an electric atmosphere that held people's attention. The band's steady touring routine was a big part of how well-known they became. They played all over the United States nonstop, often doing more than one show in a single night. Their commitment to live shows helped them build a group of loyal fans that grew with each show. Their intense and unplanned shows set them apart from other bands of the time. When they recorded their live album at Fillmore East, it was the height of their live show success. The album was recorded over 2 nights at the Fillmore East in New York City in March 1971. It really caught the live energy of the Allman Brothers Band. At that time, the Fillmore East, which was run by the famous event promoter Bill Graham, was one of the best places to see music, and for any band, playing there was a big deal. In July 1971, At Fillmore East came out as a double recording. Longer versions of their songs were on it, showcasing how well the band can improvise and how well the players can work together. Songs like Whipping Post and In Memory of Elizabeth Reed became standard versions that showed off not only the band's technical skill, but also their emotional range and sense of what music should sound like. Many critics gave the record great reviews, and it did well in the stores. It went straight to the top of the charts, and within 2 weeks, it was on the American records. The record got good reviews for having a lot of raw energy and sounding exactly like the band played live. It was the band's big break. It made them famous across the country and cemented their place as one of the best rock music live acts. There is more to At Fillmore East than just how well it did at the box office. It changed how live records should be made, affecting many bands and singers. The album was later named one of Rolling Stone's 500 best records of all time, and the Library of Congress said it was important for its cultural, historical, or artistic value. When At Fillmore East did well, it was also a turning point in the band's career. On the record, it showed that they could catch the raw power of their live shows, that a lot of bands found hard to do. The band's early success set them up well for future albums and shows, and it made them a strong force in the rock music scene. After becoming famous, Duane Allman's path was made even better by important collaborations and the deep impact that blues legends had on his music. When Duane Allman and Eric Clapton met in 1970, they worked together on the album Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, which is one of the most famous rock duets ever. Clapton was putting together a new band called Derek and the Dominoes. He was already a famous musician. Clapton asked Duane to work on the album after being impressed by his work on Wilson Pickett's cover of Hey Jude. Clapton and Duane quickly became friends and respected each other. They also shared a deep musical bond. Duane's slide guitar playing gave the record a unique, soulful sound. The title track, Layla, became a classic and has a memorable part with two guitars playing together, with Duane and Clapton's styles mixing together without any problems. It wasn't just Layla that Duane helped. He played on most of the album's songs and left his mark with emotional and technically sound playing. Duane's ability to combine his blues and rock styles into a powerful and emotional sound was shown off in this collaboration. Layla and Other Love Songs that did well made Duane even more famous as a top guitarist in the business. Later, Clapton himself said that Duane was like the singing brother he never had. This shows how important it was for them to work together. Duane Allman's guitar style was highly influenced by blues music, and B.B. King was one of the most important artists who shaped his style. You Are King. When Duane was a teenager, he heard King's music for the first time and was deeply affected by it. Getting to a B.B. A show by King with his brother Greg was a turning point in Duane's musical growth. He became very passionate about blues music after seeing the concert, and that would shape his future. The B.B. The expressive way King played the guitar, with his vibrato and fluid bends, affected how Duane played the guitar. These methods were picked up by Duane and used in his own playing. This gave him a style that was deeply rooted in the blues, but also very much his own. His performances were defined by his unique ability to show emotion through his guitar, which was a big part of King's impact. Beyond B.B. blues greats like Elmore James and Robert Johnson inspired Duane. Elmore James' slide guitar playing really spoke to Duane, who took it up and made it his own, making it an important part of his sound. The honest and emotional stories that Robert Johnson told through music also influenced Duane's writing and improvising. Working with the Allman Brothers Band showed how much Duane loved the blues. Songs like Trouble No More and Statesboro Blues paid tribute to the blues tradition while showing off Duane's unique style. His ability to mix the traditional blues sounds with the improvisational jazz sounds and the energy of rock sounds made a new sound that many artists would use in the future. Together with Eric Clapton on Layla and Other Love Songs, Duane Allman was deeply influenced by blues greats like B.B. King. King had a big impact on his singing career. Not only did these events show how talented Duane was, but they also cemented his place as one of the most important musicians in rock and blues history. The Allman Brothers Band was famous for their great music and live shows, but they also had a terrible disaster. The band and their fans will always remember Duane Allman and Barry Oakley's sudden deaths in motorcycle crashes. These events not only took the lives of two great musicians, but they also had a big effect on the rest of the band. Around Macon, Georgia, on October 29, 1971, Duane Allman was riding his Harley-Davidson. It was Oakley's wife's birthday, so he was going to Barry Oakley's house to party. A flatbed truck holding a crane suddenly stopped in Duane's path as he got close to an intersection. Duane tried to sidestep the truck, but lost his balance. Duane was thrown to the ground when the bike came undone. It fell on top of him and went down another 90 feet. His internal parts by crushing him. Duane was taken to the hospital and had 3 hours of emergency surgery. Doctors tried to save him, but he died from his injuries. The crash did a lot of damage to his internal organs, including causing his chest to fall and cutting off his coronary arteries and liver. The young musician Duane Allman is only 24 years old. His passing made the Allman Brothers Band and the music world a much worse place. Innovative guitar playing and strong guidance by Duane were key to the band's sound and success. The death of their boss and friend made the band members sad. Greg Allman, Duane's younger brother, was especially hard hit. Greg found comfort in music during his sad time. He wrote songs about his feelings and the close relationship he had with Duane. To respect Duane's memory, the band chose to move on and keep making music, which was something he helped build. Their next record, Eat a Peach, was a gift to Duane. There were both studio recordings and live tracks from their famous Fillmore East shows on the 1972 album. Some of Duane's last studio tracks are on it, like the beautiful acoustic song Little Martha, which he wrote himself. A little more than a year later, the Allman Brothers Band was hit by another tragedy. Bassist Barry Oakley was in a motorcycle crash on November 11, 1972. That was a lot like Duane's. Barry was also riding his motorbike in Macon, Georgia, not far from where Duane died in his accident. At an intersection only 3 blocks away from where Duane crashed, Oakley hit a city bus. When Barry was thrown off the motorbike, he hit his head hard and broke his skull. Even though Barry had serious injuries, he initially rejected medical care, saying he was fine. After being sent home, his health got worse, and he had to be admitted to the hospital. About 24 hours after the accident, Barry Oakley died because his brain swelled up from being hurt. Exactly 24 years old, the same age as Duane when he passed away. The band feels even more loss and grief because of how much the two accidents are alike. The Allman Brothers Band was hit hard again when Barry Oakley died. Oakley and Duane were close, both emotionally and musically. When Barry died so soon after Duane, it shocked the band. The members who were still together had to deal with the problem of going forward without a key member. To honor their friendship and work together on music, Barry Oakley was buried next to Duane Allman at Rose Hill Cemetery in Macon. The deaths of Barry Oakley and Duane Allman had a big effect on the Allman Brothers Band. These tragedies helped shape the band's character and gave their music more emotional depth. Ain't Wastin', Time No More, and Melissa are 2 songs by the band that are full of sadness and feelings of loss. They show how strong and hurt they are. Even with these terrible losses, the Allman Brothers Band kept going. To honor Duane and Barry's memories, they keep making songs and going on tour. The band gets new players who bring new ideas and energy. However, Duane and Barry's impact was always felt in their music. It shows how strong and dedicated the band is that they were able to get through such a terrible tragedy and keep making powerful, moving music. When Duane Allman and Barry Oakley died, the Allman Brothers Band became even more popular. In 1995, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for their ability to get over personal loss. Even though they went through 2 tragedies, their music continues to inspire artists and fans of music. The band's lasting fame and impact honor the lives of Duane Allman and Barry Oakley. The members of the band, the Allman Brothers, have personal lives that are just as colorful and complicated as their music. Duane Allman had a short life, but he had important connections and a family that carries on his work. His younger brother, Greg Allman, has also been in some famous relationships, like the one he had with Cher, the pop star. It's clear that Duane Allman loves his music, but he also has important ties with other people. He is married to Donna Rusman, and they have a daughter named Galadriel Allman. Galadriel was born in 1969. Duane loved spending time with her, even though his job required him to be on the road a lot. Family and friends of Duane often talked about how happy and warm he felt after becoming a dad. Galadriel heard stories about how kind and talented her father was with music even though he died young. She later wrote a book called Please Be With Me, a song for my father, Duane Allman. In it, she talked about her dad's life and impact and showed how he was both on and off stage. Greg Allman, Duane's younger brother, also had a rough personal life full of love relationships. Getting married to Cher is one of his most well-known things. Cher had just finished a messy split from Sonny Bono in 1975 when she met Greg Allman. They quickly become close emotionally, even though they are different. Greg said that Cher looked beautiful and compared her to a magical mermaid. After Cher's divorce was complete, they got married in Las Vegas only a few days later. However, their marriage ran into problems right away because Greg was addicted to drugs and booze. There were only 9 days between the wedding and Cher's divorce filing, because she couldn't stand how much Greg used drugs. They got back together a month later, though, and had a boy together in 1976, named Elijah Blue Allman. There was both passion and trouble in their partnership. In fact, Greg and Cher tried to make a living together by putting out a record called To the Hard Way under the name Allman and Woman. The album, on the other hand, did not do well, and their personal and business differences became too big to bridge. It was hard on Cher and Sonny Bono's marriage when they got back together for a new TV show. They finally split up in 1977 and got a divorce in 1979. Greg later said that they broke up because he couldn't stop using drugs and booze. The Allman Brothers Band had a lot of success as a band, but they also had a lot of problems and disagreements. Two big problems for the band were drug abuse and legal problems, which made them less motivated and less likely to do things. The Allman Brothers Band has a lot of problems with drug abuse. They got more and more hooked on drugs, especially cocaine, as their fame grew. In his book, My Cross to Bear, Greg Allman wrote about how the band members became more and more involved with an unhealthy lifestyle where drugs were always present. This way of life has put a lot of stress on their finances, even though they make a lot of money from traveling and selling albums. As an example, the band only made $100,000 during a 41-date tour where they were supposed to make $80,000 per show. They spent the extra money on drugs and the stars' fancy lifestyle. The band's health, relationships, and ability to work together as a whole were all damaged by the widespread drug use. One very public event involving the band's private jet showed how much they were using drugs. On the first trip, the crew used cocaine to write "Welcome Allman Brothers" on the bar. This story shows how bad their life was while they were high on drugs. It is common for drug traffickers to give them big amounts of drugs because they are famous. For the first time, it was free, but as time went on, the drug cost a lot in both money and time. In the end, the drug problem caused major legal issues that put the band's survival at risk. In 1976, Scooter Herring, who was Greg Allman's personal road manager, was linked to a drug ring run by an infamous mobster named J.C. Hawkins. Herring's job included getting drugs for the band, and the fact that he was involved with organized crime made the police pay more attention to him than they should have. The FBI started an investigation because they thought Herring was involved in the drug deal. It's hard for Greg Allman to avoid getting sued. At first, he refused to help with the probe, but the threat of going to jail for perjury made him change his mind. Greg gave evidence against Herring in return for immunity under a lot of pressure. Because of this evidence, Herring was found guilty and given a sentence of 75 years in prison, but this sentence was later overturned on appeal in 1978. Some band members saw Greg's choice to testify as an act of betrayal, even though it was meant to help them. This event caused a big split in the band, which led to a short breakup and death threats against Greg, who needed police protection. Legal issues and fights within the band caused by drug problems made it hard for them to do their work. The members of the band lost a lot of trust in each other, and they lost the togetherness that had been their strength. These events had a huge effect on their lives, making it hard for them to act and record together. The Allman Brothers Band kept going even though they were under a lot of stress. As a wake-up call for many band members, these events showed the evil side of the rock and roll lifestyle. Duane Allman has had an impact on music that goes beyond his time with the Allman Brothers Band. With his creative use of slide guitar and his ability to mix blues, rock, and jazz so well, Duane set a new standard as a musician. A lot of musicians have been influenced by his emotional and skilled playing. It was Eric Clapton and Duane that worked together on the famous record Layla and other assorted love songs. Clapton often talked about how Duane had a big impact on his own music and called him a musical brother he never had. The way Duane linked different types of music is another way that he left his mark. His work at Muscle Shoals, where he played with Wilson Pickett and Aretha Franklin, showed how versatile he was and how much he knew about music. Many musicians have been inspired by this ability to work across genres, inspiring them to try new things and discover their own styles. A lot of current guitarists' work shows how much Duane Allman influenced them. Duane has had a big impact on the music of Derek Trucks, Warren Haynes, and Gary Rossington, among others. In his shows, Derek Trucks, who later joined the Allman Brothers Band, often paid tribute to Duane, carrying on the tradition of great slide guitar playing. A big change in the music business was also caused by the Allman Brothers Band's commitment to live shows. Their improvised style and long jams changed the way live rock concerts were done, inspiring groups like the Grateful Dead and Phish. Their concerts set the standard for how energetic and spontaneous live rock music could be, leaving a legacy that still inspires live artists today. How do you feel about Duane Allman and the Allman Brothers Band? They were the first artists to play Southern rock music, and their unique style, powerful performances, and heartfelt feeling in every note they played will never be forgotten. Duane Allman died too soon, which was sad, but his music and memory live on. Post your thoughts in the comments section below, and let's talk more. Please make sure you subscribe to our station so you don't miss any more stories that will move and entertain you. Thank you for seeing this. We'll see you in the next movie soon.